Hey folks, I'm super excited for another installment in my Zill Heroes series, this time with none other than the amazing Karim Nagi. Karim and I met for the first time back in 2005, I believe, at an event in Boulder, Colorado. I took some finger simple classes with him there, and it has changed the course of my playing for the better. And I am super excited to share this interview with you today so you can learn a bit more about the man behind the finger cymbals, a little bit about how he got into this art form, and what has inspired him to create the style of playing that he is best known for. We'll also talk about what he loves best about finger cymbal playing, and then I will ask him if he has any useful tips and tricks for students wanting to learn or teachers wanting to teach this beautiful instrument. You might be surprised by what he says. Very practical, very insightful, and I think it's something that we'll all be able to take to heart and use in our practice and our classes moving forward. So join me as we dive deep and get a little geeky about the finger cymbals with Karim Nagy. I would like to thank you so much for talking with me today. You are honestly one of my original finger cymbal inspirations that have started this like obsession that I've had for the last 20 years. So I'm super excited to geek out with you on the topic and to share your perspective, your background, and your outlook on finger cymbal playing to the world. So thank you so
Mm.
much for hanging out with me today. I really
Thank you very
appreciate it.
much for having me. Sure, thank you.
Absolutely. So gosh, I met you. It was so long ago now. I can't even remember. It must have been at
I
least
think it
15
I
years
think it
ago.
was in Colorado
Mm-hmm.
at that event in
At
Colorado.
Elevation.
Elevation, right.
Yes, that was such a
Not Boulder,
fantastic
Colorado, but
event.
so yes, exactly.
Yeah, and I vividly remember there being like a jam session after one of the shows one night, and like
Right,
all
right.
this music was happening, and I
Yes.
pulled out my finger cymbals, and you were there, and I was so inspired, and I was like, oh man, this is incredible. It was like kind of the first like finger cymbal nirvana experience I'd had. I was like, this is really, really fun, like just jamming out with them as a musical instrument, right? And not
Mhm.
worrying about dancing and playing them. And so, and then I've gotten to take a lot of your classes and have your DVD, and I love the methodology and the way you approach the finger cymbals, and I've learned so much from that. And so I would love if you could share with folks, like,
Mhm.
how did you get into it? Obviously, you know,
Mm.
you are Egyptian, you are a musician. When did you first pick up the finger cymbals, and how
Mm.
did it all get started?
Right. Well, I used to hear it in songs, and actually, the first time that I heard the symbols, which we have two names in Egypt for them. There's sagat, which is, and that doesn't denote size or the way they're made. The actual the word saj in Arabic or sag in Egyptian Arabic means dome. So sagat is means they're saying the domes. That's like you play the domes. And then the really big ones are called the tura, and I think that's just a proper noun. And the first time I heard them in a recording for actually religious music, Islamic music, and like devotional Muslim music. I heard it a lot. This shunk, shunk, shunk. And then I saw them also in Sufi festivals. And when I say Sufi, I don't mean American Sufi. I mean that the Arabic ones where they're like real hardcore Muslims and they they do a lot of devotional music and dance and movement rituals. So that's the first time I heard them. I heard them on the recordings, and the first time I saw people playing them, and they to me they were always really big. Later on, I saw dancers playing them, referring to them as Zills here in America. That's the Turkish word, the smaller ones. One thing I remember from the Sufi music, the religious music, is that there are more sounds, lots of rhythms, and I felt a lot of times what I was hearing in the United States was a lot of just the ding 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 sound, and so I just felt like it was missing something, missing all these other sounds, and by the time I was in the industry, dance industry here in America, the finger cymbals, Zills, Sagat, which not many people called it at the time, was declining. Actually, there were fewer and fewer people playing, mostly only um, the T word, the tribal dancers. I'm not sure who's still using the term. I know there was a big movement to eradicate the term. Those dancers, American tribal dancers, cabaret dancers, they're the only ones who were playing them. and there was like a decline. So I thought maybe if we added more sounds, if it became more of a elaborate instrument, and it wasn't just the ding ding sound, and people used both hands and things like that, that maybe there'd be a resurgence. Maybe more people would want to play them, and less people would be annoyed by it. I felt a lot of people were saying, "Oh no, here come the cymbals," and that's because this is ding 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 ding. It's an instrument, but people were playing it with just one sound. And the one sound instrument, you can imagine like a piano with one sound, right? Like if all those notes, all those 98 keys were all the same note, you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
Terrible.
Just throw your body on it and they would all be correct. Uh, if you could imagine like how an instrument like that would not survive, right? I was hoping that what I had heard growing up, it could be applied to what people were playing, not just have one sound and not just as an announcement that the dancer has entered, but to have it be part of the music. And then, of course, the skill of moving and playing that more elaborate things at the time. So it all started from me hearing the religious music in Egypt. And now I hope that they don't have to play religiously, obviously, but that to play with more sounds and more elaborate technique.
Absolutely. And thinking back, I believe that that concept of more than one sound on the finger cymbals was something that I got from you
Mm,
originally. And
mm,
when I first started playing, I mean, it was, lots of rings, maybe some clacks here and there for emphasis, but the concept of them as a musical instrument with a
mm-hmm,
variety of different,
mm.
tonalities and abilities kind of blew my mind. And I'm wondering, now I'm super curious, like before you started doing that, did you see anyone else in the scene? I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. I'm sure other people were kind of developing these ideas at the same time, but it wasn't of the fashion, right? When belly dancers picked up the finger cymbals originally, like it was all kind of single tones, right? Because that's just what was easy and accessible, and no one was developing anything that was more
Mm,
involved, right? So this was a
mm.
new concept for you. You were taking what you had seen in Egypt and trying to apply it what was happening in the
Yes.
dance scene here. Yeah. Oh, I
Yes,
love that.
and I don't really feel that I've invented anything. I don't believe that, I discovered this sound or that sound, and I'm trying to promote like, my revelation. It's really a compilation of things I've heard and seen. And so all of these sounds, like I've seen them, I've heard them, I just didn't see dancers doing them. Now I know that there are dancers who are more advanced than others in the cymbals, or who you know put more effort and thought into it. So it exists out there, but it wasn't the norm. It's not the norm. The norm was the ding, the open sound, which is for you and I is one of 4 or 5 or 6 sounds. And so the first reaction that I got from dancers is that, oh, it's complicated. It's getting complicated now. So what I thought is the first thing you do is play the same pattern that you always played. This is me talking to somebody. Play what you've always played. Just change the sound. So if you're going, ding 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 for another part of the song, go tick a tick tick a tick tick a tick a tick a tick tick a tick tick a tick tick a tick a tick a tick. Just change the sound. That actually is a nice way of indicating that the song has changed, that there's a new part of the song. So then people would start to choose, okay, I'll play ding a ding ding a ding for this part of the song, and I'll play tick a tick tick a tick for this part of the song, and then I'll play tack a tack tack a tack for that part of the song. Well, then I'll go back to ding ding a ding ding a ding for this, and keep your pattern. So that was the first method. Then the second was to start mixing the sounds, to play open and closed. And I haven't identified what the names are yet, but just open or closed, to play a rhythm. So if I'm going to play a rhythm on a drum, I need more than one sound, right? I need it. If I took any of the famous Arabic rhythms, Saidi, Masmoudi, Maksum, Karachi, I took all those rhythms, but I did not play them with multiple sounds. I played them all with one sound. All those rhythms would sound the same. They would all sound the same. They had the accent on 1, 2, 4, 5, and 7. Dun, 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 dun. So we wouldn't hear the difference. So to have more than one sound on your cymbals, you can start playing these rhythms, doom tech tech doom tech doom tech tech doom tech. So that was the next step, to play the rhythms. And then a final step is to really think about it as a musical instrument and play what you want based on what you hear, complement music, and many times also to not play. I really emphasize for dancers that it's really not imperative to play for an entire song. As a matter of fact, if you listen to music, Arabic music, none of those instruments are playing for the entire song. The singer is certainly not singing for the entire song. So there's no imposition for there's no burden for the dancer to have to play for the entire song. It's actually nice to come in and out and then choose when to come in and out. So those are the revelations, but none of it, I didn't invent any of it. I just compiled it and tried to share it with people.
No, I love it. And there's a lot of talk right now in the community and at large. When do you introduce finger cymbals to students, for us teachers out there? Or how do you introduce them? Do you introduce them at all? Some people are still debating that, which obviously I'm very on one side of that debate. But I really like this sort of 3-step approach that you have as an instructor. Is that how, I know a lot of you get to work with a lot of people in a workshop format where it's just lots of information all at once. But if you were to take a student from, step 0, they've never seen these instruments before, and help them integrate that in a curriculum that includes dance, right? Because most dancers don't come to this wanting to only play the cymbals as a musician. They're coming at it where they want to do them both. How would you, with your, methodology and your experience, how would you bring that to someone? How would you teach someone?
Yes, I do believe that the cymbals should be learned even on the first day. I don't mind that. Like, just like you, I've actually, just a quick note, I've gone to festivals, where they had 7 teachers and then 2 of the teachers didn't come, so I have to take over their classes. And I've had the organizers say, anything but cymbals. Really? No. Yes. Yeah. It's true. There's no need to, out them or whatever. But there are dancers out there just, they don't fancy them. So I'm with you. I think they should be learned at any moment. How the methodology I would learn is I would first get the sounds. I would ask them to be able to do the ringing sound, which I label as the doom sound. There may be people say, oh, that sounds like something else, or it's too high, but guess what? Every sound on the instrument is high. They're all high. There's no boo that we can make with a cymbal. So I think of doom as the sound that sustains. Like if I were hitting a drum, doom, it's the sound that lasts the longest. So that's why I would say the ringing sound would be the doom sound. So we practice getting them with both hands. Then we practice the tek sound, closed with no ringing. Practice that. And then practice tick, tock, which a lot of people, they've never come across in their entire lives. So practice these sounds. And then for a dancer, there's two ways to incorporate dance, or to teach incorporating dance with cymbals. One is to get the pattern and grasp onto that pattern, and then put it on top of a basic step, whether it's like, this pivot to here, pivot and here, or, step forward, step back, step forward, step back, or leg up, sweep, or hip drop up, hip drop up, hip drop, do it all from the chair. Not really going to stand up at this moment. Had a long day. But do you see what I mean? Like, so any of these like standard famous steps that, 101 steps, play that and do the 101 step. Change the sound, same pattern, change the sound, and do that dance 101 step. So layer it on top of an easy step, all-pervasive step. That's one method of combining the dance and the cymbal playing. A second method is to align a hip or a shoulder or a body part, a step, with a sound. So you think of it, every time I'm going to hit the hip, I'm going to go ding, right? Every time I go to drop the hip pump backwards, I'm going to go chick, You see? So that it's like the hip in the hand is held, the step in the hand are aligned. And then you just build the pattern like that. It's less of a multitasking way. So that I know that I'm going to like, do the hip circle out, and I'm going to do with each hip, I'm going to go, and with this one, I go with the hip, that they're aligned. So to think of it as like one motion, that motion includes a hand and includes a body part. So that's the second way. So that's how, like, a lot of people might see me play and be like, well, you can't dance that way. It was like, it's not that you can't, it's just that I'm not at the moment. But there are ways to do it. You layer it on top of a basic motion, or you connect your body and hand together and consider the hand and the body one motion. So those are the two ways.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And that's something I love about when you teach and when you play, like you get up and dance, right? Like while you're coming at it from a musician standpoint, like
Mm-hmm.
you've done the work to figure out how to layer it on the dance, which is the
Yes,
challenge
yes.
that so many people find, right? A lot of people are willing to sort of sit and play and figure out, the rhythms and whatnot. But I think the
Hmm.
challenge for a lot of dancers comes the moment they try to stand up and do the things at the same time. So I really like that idea of keeping
Absolutely. I
the
mean, if as
movement
long
simple or
if
matching.
it's multitasking, if people think of it as multitasking, that they get really overwhelmed by it. It's good to think of them as like complementary layers.
Absolutely, absolutely. So over time, I'm sure because you've been playing finger cymbals for how long now? Like how many years would you
Oof. Well, I mean, it's 25.
say? Since you were
I keep
two.
saying this
Yeah.
like 15 years, but then I'm like, I keep getting older. So it's 25 years, I guess now. Yeah, it has to be 25 years.
And how have you found that your playing, I'm sure, has changed over time? And what is it that inspires and influences you now?
Hmm. I think, yeah, that my playing, I discover new things. I'm going to tell you the truth. It's hard to learn. There's no codified system. There are, of course, individual dancers who publish their books and write things. I mean, this exists endlessly. But a lot of stuff I discover over the years, So, I mean, I've discovered sounds 3 years ago that I didn't know before. So I think it's all in accumulation and accumulation. For me personally, um, everything is starting to become a tool for a larger message. So I play the cymbals, I play the drum, I do the folkloric dance. It's all starting to become like a subset of a bigger activity. So I'm not spending hours a day trying to become the fastest drummer in the world or the fastest cymbalist in the world. I more or less think of it as part of a bigger activity. So I think that's how it's changed, is it's become one of the storytelling tools.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I know you're doing a lot with music now in the
Mhm.
educational realm,
Mm.
right? So do you think about it also as being sort of a tool for your larger message to
Yes,
the world at this point, right? Using
absolutely,
the dance and
absolutely.
music for good. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the biggest misconceptions that people have in general life is that they oversimplify something. They think it's easy. So how many people have you met in life that think that what you do is easy? You know what I mean? That what you do is in multiple categories. Like, oh, they're just dancing. Wait, that's a profession? Excuse me, they're a dancer. I can do that. And you're
Until
like,
they
no, it
try
takes
it.
skill. Yeah, exactly. Another thing, I mean, like, and you're Mexican, people would just think of, oh, there's food or the sombrero. Everybody, the way they get through life is people have to simplify things so that they don't get overwhelmed. Not everybody can address every detail of every topic in life. So I'm not going to be too hard on people. The symbols for me is a beautiful example, is that like they're more complicated than you think they are. They have more depth than someone might think. Someone might think that it's just, oh, ding, ding, ding. How hard could it be? And I'm just saying, like, yes, there is a vast world. It starts with ding, 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 but there is also a vast world. Just like you can oversimplify an instrument. You can oversimplify your idea of what an Arabic person is, what a woman is, what a man should do, what the food is. I can make a burrito, or I can make hummus with a recipe. It's like, no, there's tradition, there's depth to everything. There is depth to everything. I see the symbols, the Sagat, as a perfect example that you cannot judge something on face value.
I love it. No, that's so true. And I think the deeper you dive, and you can probably put this on anything. The deeper you dive, the more rich and immersive and interesting it becomes, right? And
Yes.
so if we come to this with a just sort of a surface level desire to throw the cymbals on our dance and make
Mm-hmm.
some cool patterns,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they're cool, but I could see how people might not fall in love. People might not want to dig deeper, might not want to go further. But once you get a certain amount like down the rabbit hole, maybe you just keep falling and you can't get back up. I'm not sure, and then you're in it for life because you realize that there's so much to explore. And I think, I've always found that it's sort of a double-edged sword, the fact that there is no real codified technique. There is no, way to learn finger cymbals. There's lots of different ways. And in some ways that might be frustrating to people coming to this and not having like the steps in line that they would like. But I think in some ways, if you're willing to just play and explore, it gives you the opportunity to really just sort of get into it and create something that you enjoy doing. I always tell my students, and tell me your take on this, like, I don't feel like there are a lot of rules when it comes to finger cymbal playing. Obviously, like play on tempo and don't play all the time. I learned that one from you. You were the one who told
Yes,
me
please don't
ever
play
so
all the time.
nicely to stop playing my zills every once in a while. And
Within a
I've
song, yeah, within a song.
exactly,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I mean.
absolutely. And so there, I mean, but other than that, like, I don't feel like there are many rules. Like,
Mm.
what could you tell people that would give them a little bit of freedom and a little bit of courage and confidence when it comes to tackling something that might be really challenging to them, like the finger cymbals?
Yes, it does seem that there aren't, on appearance, a lot of rules, and I think it's because it's not considered a classical instrument that people are going to endeavor to codify and write about and try and publish and then hope that everybody follows it. It's not like the Suzuki method of violin, you know what I mean? Because for all these, billions of people who play violin and how important it is and how expensive the violin is and how we see dozens of them in every orchestra. So I don't think that the finger cymbals have that status, to warrant it. And it's fine. I don't need it to be a classical instrument for it to be important. It doesn't have to be compared to some other paradigm. But what I would hope that people would do is, learn about the music because it is a musical instrument. And I think that the more you learn about music, the more freedom you will have. At first, it seems that any kind of system will suppress you, that you have to do this. But the truth is that you hear it, and you hear it, right? The cymbals are loud. And so you can hear it above everything. They're loud, they're that certain pitch. So it really is much better if they're played rhythmically, melodically, and with a good choice, like choice of placement, you know? Sort of like when you add sprinkles to a cake, you don't bury it so that you no longer see the cake, but it's just like, an endless thing of sprinkles, or like adding glitter. And you add glitter to your whole body, and then like no one sees your eyes anymore.
Yeah,
It's
I don't know.
like that.
I think we've done that. Like,
Everyone with children has done it at some point.
right.
So basically, I would say that to find the musicality in the instrument will give you the freedom, because if you can play in a way that's pleasing, and pleasing in meaning like someone hears it and they're not horrified and doesn't bother people, but it actually adds to the music. That gives freedom, because then it's like you have a path to doing it well. A path to doing it well. Freedom has some sort of structure, right? Yeah, I mean, freedom is within a lane of some kind. Nobody just can drive any direction they want in their car. They have this lane, but you have these four lanes, okay? And take the one that's open. So I would say, when you play more musically, you're able to make a more pleasing delivery of the cymbals. And then when people hear them, and they will hear them, it fits with the music, and then they enjoy it, and then they reward you with their smiling.
I love it. I love it. So learn the basics, get into the music, understand the rhythms and the structure of the music, and then you can really just play however you would, you have the freedom to play and explore within the form.
Exactly. Exactly.
I love it. I love it. So everyone out there just has to go and find an instructor that will get them into that, right, into that base level
Mhm.
and give them the basic information that they need to be able to really get out there and run with it. Because I
That's
I
right.
know you agree, like finger cymbals are just such a source of joy and fun, and it's such a fun, playful instrument that fits right here in the palm of your
Hmm.
hand. It's just so
Hmm.
convenient and so easy and fun. So I
Hmm.
hope that others might be inspired by this idea to get out there and find the bass that they need in order to really find the joy and playfulness in the instrument. I
I
really like
agree.
that theory.
Yes.
So what is next for you in your world, be it,
Mm.
through music or lecture or whatnot? What are you working on currently?
Oh well, here in the quarantine life, which I think we all here in this household take pretty seriously. I'm doing a lot of teaching online, public school classes, assemblies, college lecture and university lectures. I've been producing my own classes and workshops now. I'm on to my third one, and still other invitations from other teachers and students. And I have a backlog of things I want to do, and just because I'm here at home doesn't mean I have the time. As you know, there's all kinds of commitments, family commitments, and just the fact that we're not changing our environment so much that we don't have the same focus. It's hard to go out and then get rejuvenated and come back and focus on something when you're in the same place. So I would love to record my next album next year. I would love to make more seminars. I would love to write another play because I wrote a play last year and it was published and produced. So I would love to do another one. Right now, I'm just trying to re-achieve what I had before the pandemic online, and I'm there like 80%. So most of the college lectures I had, they rescheduled to the online as soon as they figured out how to do it. Most of the public schools and private schools figured that out. So I'm slowly re-achieving what I had before, and then hope to get into new projects next year.
Fantastic. And if there are people watching this in the next week or two who want to find you and
Mm.
study with you, what's the easiest way for them
Well,
to do
I
that?
actually produced the finger cymbal workshop. It's going to be on December 13th, but it sold out in 48 hours. It sold out so quickly. I mean,
What?
I couldn't even. Yeah, actually, all the workshops that I produce on my own sell out quickly. I'm not sure why. Because I'm not very popular on social media. I like I post a picture, like 6 likes, you know what I mean? And then other people are like, where did you buy that shirt? Like they're not even paying attention. I'm not sure how it happens, but like I get more students than I get views. It's strange. I don't
Oh
know. I
my
know.
goodness. You have the opposite problem of every other artist out there, which goes to prove that social media is not the end all be all, but it is an important
No, it's
tool
not.
in
It's
our
not. And
toolbar.
thank you for that. Like
Yeah.
I went from 500 people on Twitter to 502 people on Twitter in 1 year. So I don't know how it works. I have the DVD that you bought from me, the
Hmm.
finger cymbals, Sagat and Zills ones. I converted it to a streaming lesson.
Oh,
So it is
great.
possible for people to stream my folk dance lessons, my finger cymbals lessons, and my rekt, how to play the tambourine lesson. These are all streamable now and on my website, karimnagi.com/stream, STREAM. So you can get my DVDs. It's now like in a video format because I know the postal service has trouble too now. So that's probably the best way at this point to learn cymbals from me is either that or catch the class the minute it opens up.
Absolutely. Get on your mailing list. You have a mailing list people can get on to be able to get that info, or do they
Yes,
have to
yes, I
find you on
do.
social
Mailing.
media? Follow him on social media.
Yeah, yeah. You can be the 18th person. Yeah, yeah. 90 people. Ooh,
Fantastic.
90. Oh, double digits.
Oh, well, that's great. You're doing something right, obviously. And yeah, and you do speak to the magic of the internet and international reach now, which is, I
Mm,
think, a beautiful silver lining of this dark COVID cloud is that we are all
yes.
dancing together across space and time,
Yes,
to
yes.
try to survive and stay joyful and keep learning throughout it all.
Yes,
So
exactly. It's like a parallel good quality of it. I don't think there's anything good about the sickness and the illness, but at the same time, it's forced us to think of different ways of reaching people.
yeah, which will not disappear, right? Even once we can get back into the studio. So that's exciting. Um,
Exactly, exactly. A lot of people are talking about like, having hybrid workshops now in the future, whereas like you will have some people in the classroom and some people watching on the screen. This might happen. But don't you miss performing in a room with people or teaching a few people in a room? Don't you miss that?
I do. I do. I mean, I haven't missed a beat. Like, I'm still online. I'm teaching all my regular classes as I always had been, but I do. I actually just recently I have a small Monday daytime class that has been meeting with me for like the last 9 years. And just 3 weeks ago, we met in the park behind my house for the first time, masked up with, our
Hmm.
little Bluetooth speaker. And it felt so good. It was like this joy washed over all of us. And now we're addicted. Now I'm trying to like schedule an extra meetup with my
Yes,
Wednesday night girls. We can't meet at night because it's dark and there's nowhere to go. But yes, just that energy that's created in the in-person scenario cannot be reproduced no matter what you do
absolutely.
online. And so yeah, pros and cons of each for sure. And I look forward to the day where we can all hold hands and Deb P together and play finger cymbals
Yes.
together and, see each other like our entire face will be nice. That'll be nice.
Yes, it'll happen. It'll happen, but it'll only happen if we are a lot more careful now and don't rush this process and get anxious to do simple things like, I'm dying to go to a bar or I'm dying to have a birthday party, and these are the kind of things, these impulsive, rushed things that is actually prolonging the whole process.
Absolutely. I'm totally with you. We have to learn a bit of self-control. Like I tell my 6-year-old, no, you can't have the candy bar now. You have to eat dinner first. It's the same thing, except we're not 6 years old. Right?
Yeah, she's more likely to understand it than the 25 year
And
old.
she does. That's the scary thing. All right. There's a few quick lightning round questions before
Yep.
we close up. How many pairs of finger cymbals do you own?
I would say 8 pairs, 8 pairs. But I find myself using the same set over and over again.
Ah, which is the set that you use over and over and why?
This
I'm
is the
curious.
set that's like chipped and dusty, and it's this set. I mean, I used it this morning. I'm kind of a nostalgic person, so I grab the things that I use a lot because I know what they feel like. If I have a lot of sets, but this is the set that has gone all over the world with me, back and forth. This set has been around the world 4 times, and it's my touring set. And what I find is that when I'm here, even doing these online things, I'm using the instruments that I tour with. It sort of like helps me stay connected. Like I have in the back my travel boozluk. It's 50% the size. I have a bigger one. I've been using the travel one, even though I'm here in my home. The touring instruments, give me that a work ethic. I feel like it keeps my work ethic.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really interesting. And so you are you using those partially because they were your touring instrument, but is there something like particularly that you love about them? Is it the weight or the sound or a little bit of everything that
I know
makes you
where to
like the
find them.
instrument? You
This
know where
is
they are?
probably it. The other ones are like in places that I would have to tear down all this stuff.
I have I have certainly
So
picked out a
I
pair
think
of
it's
finger
I think it's
cymbals for the
because they're
same reason.
close by.
Because you know where they are. That
Yeah.
works for me. I love it. Now, I know the answer to this question, but I want to know, do you like to play right hand dominant or continuously alternating or a little bit of both?
I'm continuously alternating. Especially if I'm dancing. If I'm dancing, I'm alternating all the time.
Ah,
And so I'm as you know, as you've done, sometimes to use mixed cymbals of different pitches. So in order for me to get the other pitch, I have to change the side of dominance. You see? So I mean, I would be going there da da ding da da ding, and then this way da da ding da da ding. So I'm always changing dominance during the performance, always.
gotcha. So what you mean by that, like, so if you were going to play like melody with their finger cymbals, you are not going to do like a right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. You're playing like you would on a drum. Are you playing like a right, right, right,
Mm.
left, right, 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 left, right? And then
Well,
sometimes you
yes,
do left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left.
without the R's and the L's, basically, I know the sound of the rhythm, and I'll use whatever hand I need at that moment to get that one of those sounds at that moment. Do you see what I mean? So I'm trying to get, dum dum da da dum da 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 dum dum da da dum da da, and then I'll go dum dum da da dum da da or dum dum, all with one hand, all with the other hand. I'm going for the rhythm. I'm not trying to play a hand. I'm trying to play a rhythm. And so I will chase the sound with whatever hand I want, because all two hands can play any of those sounds. Both two hands can play any of those sounds.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're reproducing the rhythm with whatever hand is on hand.
Yes, exactly.
I like that. I think that's like a whole nother category of playing. I've always
Mm.
put it into dominant hand lead or continuously alternating, but now this is
Well,
like a
this is
third
what happens when
possibility.
you become intimate with an instrument, with any instrument. You stop thinking about the finger, you stop thinking about the grip, you stop thinking about visually. You stop thinking of the thing visually and you think of it sonically. So I guarantee you, anybody who's a master of the guitar or anybody who's the master of the oboe is not thinking about which finger they're using or which hand. They're reproducing the melody in their mind. And the barrier of the instrument, the mechanics of the instrument fades as you get more proficient.
I love this. Now let me geek out with you for just 1 second on this because this is something I've been working on as I've been taking more classes and getting more inspiration that I always I always think to myself, right hand lead, left hand lead, continuously alternating, whatever, as long as I am in control and I know what it is that I'm doing. But sometimes when I learn something really complex, as I have recently, I find that I play the rhythm and I'm like, oh no, that's correct. It sounds right. But I am not in control of which hand's doing it. If I try to replicate what the instructor is doing with right hand, left hand, I'm all over the place and I can't do it
Mm,
the same way each time, but I know I'm
mm.
playing the rhythm correctly. So I always smack myself in the hand and say, okay, you need to have a better idea of what's going on here. Could it be, this is my hope, that I'm just so good at this instrument that I can make the sound happen and I'm not really totally aware of which hand that I'm using and that's okay?
Everything up until that's okay. These are two different skills. The ability to copy something exactly as you heard it or see it or someone else has taught you, that's an ability. To replicate another thing, just like a person who can take the Mona Lisa and paint the Mona Lisa, that's a skill. And then the person who can make their own Mona Lisa, named Talia Susan or whatever, Jennifer Janet, they make their own, so these are two different skills and both valid. Your ability to copy exactly as your teacher told you with the hands they used, that's one skill. And the ability to create the artwork, the piece, the music, the sound with you self naturally, that's also a skill. So they're both different skills.
Okay, I like that. So I will strive to do them both. Thank you
Yes.
for that. It makes me feel a little bit better about what's been
Mm.
going on. Excellent. All right, one last lightning round question. What is your favorite quarantine activity?
Mm. Feeling okay about not having to go anywhere, especially as you know, when you have children, you feel like we gotta have activities. We gotta go to the museum. We gotta go to the art place. We gotta try this restaurant. We gotta hike this hill. We gotta see these people, and it's a lot of pressure to do things. I am a person who has gotten to do a lot of things in his life. I've been to so many countries multiple times, and thank you God I've been able to have an interesting life. I like relaxing. I like focusing on life, in home life. So I think my favorite quarantine activity is no activity, is that I don't have to or shouldn't go and try and find something new to do.
I love it. And that's okay. That's actually the request, right? That is what we're supposed to be doing. And it sort
Exactly.
of
That
gives
is
you
the request.
permission.
Exactly.
It gives
To
us
to to
permission to
find
not run
things to
around.
do safely at home. I like
Yeah.
that.
I like to think about it that way. So instead of
Mm.
feeling stuck at home, to just, revel in the ability to just be safely at home and enjoy that and be allowed
Exactly,
to.
exactly. Without the pressure of having to find something special to do that you've never done before.
Right. That's huge. I love it. Well, thank you for that. That gives me a new outlook to meditate on there. This has been awesome. Thank you, Kareem.
Thank
I
you very
really
much. It's very nice.
appreciate.
We've been
Yeah.
friends for a while, worked together many times, and so I appreciate this conversation and how much you value what I say. Thank you.
I really do. And if I can help inspire other people by bringing your words and your stories to others, my deep deep-seated evil goal is just to get the whole world to want to play the finger cymbals and to
Yeah,
have fun while doing it. So this is
we're getting
one
there.
small
We're
step
getting
in that
there.
process. Yes, we will. We will succeed. I know it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I totally appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So, what did you think? I really hope that you enjoyed this interview. And if you have not yet had the opportunity to study finger symbols with Karim, I highly recommend it. Go to his website at karimnagi.com and check out that stream area that he spoke about. The finger symbol video is one of my absolute favorite, I must say, and I think you'll really enjoy it if you have not yet already seen it. Be sure to get on his mailing list so that you can catch the next workshop he presents before it sells out. And I hope that this interview has instilled you with a little sense of hope and joy with the understanding of what it takes to become a strong Zill player, right? What you can do to incorporate into your study, into your practice to get that base of the art form down so that you can find the freedom that he speaks of to sort of play within the form and really enjoy the finger symbols for the beautiful musical instrument that they are. Thank you again for joining me for this special interview. Do you have a Zill hero who has inspired you along your journey? I would love to know. Maybe I could interview them for an upcoming segment. Reach out and let me know. And as always, thank you so much for watching and happy dancing.